Okay, so we have Craig, Harry with us today, and today's going to be really interesting because Craig is not only a paranormal expert and not only a hypnotherapist with years of experience of working with people and healing. You've also spent a significant amount of time researching UFOs and aliens, I guess, maybe
Yes.
not. And you've cited UFOs three times already, and I'm really dying to ask you about that and talk about that. But welcome, and I think this is going to be an interesting one.
Hi, thanks.
Yeah. So, why don't you tell me about yourself and because it's like you're an expert in the paranormal. You mentioned ghosts, right? You've researched that. There's
Yes.
so much to talk about because I've never seen a ghost. I've never seen. I am very well aware of hypnosis and hypnotherapy. um but yeah, like like I'm leaning towards the UFOs. Maybe can you tell us about the sightings, maybe the first time that happened to you and what that
Sure.
led to?
Absolutely. That's the first area I started to research in my life because our family had a personal encounter. And that's when you start to say, well, what is that? And that's what science is all about. What is that? Let's look into it more. Let's see if there's evidence. Let's see what other people have described and reported. So that started my curiosity. I was 7 at the time, and we were traveling in our family car at night to go on Christmas holidays in New South Wales up to the Queensland border. And we just happened to notice nice clear night. You could see all the stars were out in the country highway, so no light pollution, and the stars are twice as bright. And myself and my brother in the back seat, bored, we're looking out the window at everything, and that's when we noticed there was a red light off the distance toward the west where our mountain range is here in Australia. And you could see the black mountain range because the stars. And we saw a red light that was about twice to, if not three times as big as a normal star. It was moving because you could see it moving against the star pattern. So we knew it was some sort of aircraft. It was up in the sky. I'd say probably at a 20-degree angle. And curiosity, we were just going, well, what could it be? Is it a plane? Is it a helicopter? What sort of aircraft is it? So we were trying to guess what sort of aircraft. We were used to Army helicopters being around our hometown in the Hunter Valley because there was an Army base there, and they have a big flashing red navigational light on the back of them. So we were going, well, this is strange because the light's solid. Maybe it's a different sort of helicopter or a different aircraft. So we're all kind of bashing our brains to try and work out what it could be. And in the end, curiosity got to us. So we decided to pull the car over. And when we did, the object stopped and then it descended down into the bush. And we thought, oh, it's a helicopter. It's found its landing area, whatever it was, coincidentally when we stopped. So we're thinking, oh, that's a helicopter, normal logic. So we had some drinks in the boot. We had a drink and decided to hit the road again after about 5 minutes. And as soon as we started rolling again, that's when we noticed the light was back again, back up to the same altitude. And it was mirroring our traveling speeds. So if we were stopped, it was stopped. If we were moving, it was moving. So we're kind of like, well, that's different. And that's when we noticed that there wasn't a sound in the bush. There wasn't any cicadas, crickets, nothing. It was just dead silent. And that's when we kind of went, we're alone out here on a highway. There's not too many cars around. Think we might speed up a bit and go to the next town. So it stayed with us for another 5 minutes or so until we reached the outskirts of the town. And then it just kind of took off like a shooting star over the horizon. And we were just like, wow, okay. And when we pulled into the service station and asked the attendant there, we said, is there any airports around here? Any heliports, army bases, things like that?
Can I stop you for just 1 second? When you say
Sure.
we,
Yes.
you mean mom, dad, and brother, or is it just you and your brother?
Yeah.
Just wondering.
Yeah. No, the four of us. Yeah. So parents are driving, us kids in the back. Yeah. Yeah.
And were your parents scared?
Again, we were just curious, except toward the end when we ruled out everything man-made. And then we were kind of like, okay, maybe we'll hurry on into town.
So what was the conversations like? What do you like your father asking you? What do you guys think that is? What could it be? Is it?
Yeah, we were just kind of ruling out everything that could be. And then when we were left with no more explanations, that's when we kind of went, all right, now it's in that creepy zone, of, oh, what is this? So that's when it kind of dawned on us that this was something other than man-made. Yeah.
Okay.
And when we did talk to the attendant at the service station, he said a few people had told him that story on that particular highway for the last week. Yeah.
And so that was the first time, right? It happened
Sighting number
multiple
one.
times, right?
Yep. That was the first time.
I just have a quick question. Is like, how come it happened to you 4 times, and to some people it never happens?
3.
3. Okay.
Good question. Lucky or unfortunate, I don't know at this stage. But, yeah, they have their reasons. They have their technology behind their reasoning. Some people are kind of on the list to be watched or studied. Some people are aware when they're around and they're looking more. After that event, I was always looking at the sky.
I understand, yes.
So for my second encounter in the year 2000, it was New Year's Eve on the Gold Coast here, the millennia 1999 to 2000. And we wanted to go into Broadbeach here and watch the fireworks go off. And we went to a friend's place, had their barbecue and everything, and we went outside, and we're about 5 minutes to midnight. So we're waiting for the fireworks. Now everyone's talking to everyone, keeping their eyes horizontal. I'm always looking up at the sky. So I'm looking around and I look straight up. So I look straight up and I see 2 normal whitish bluish stars, what you could imagine stars, but they were moving. They were rotating like this right above us. So I'm watching it for about 3 revolutions and I'm thinking, all right, you're going to have to rule out everything you can think of, because if you sound off and say, look, guys, UFOs, because I'm Mr. UFO, they're going to go, yeah, whatever, if I get it wrong. So I'm ruling out skydivers. I'm ruling out light aircraft. I'm ruling out satellites. So after about 4 rotations, I finally say to everyone, there are about 12 of us, and I say, could everyone just look up, directly up, and tell me what you see? And they looked up and they went, oh my God, look at those 2 stars spinning around. I'm like, yes.
They don't exist.
They do exist.
No, but star rotating don't exist.
Yep. So validation. So they rotated for another 2 rotations, and then they parted and then stayed still. And then I noticed one of them seemed to go up in altitude, so it got half as dim as it's going up in altitude away from us, and it paired up with another one of its same degree of brightness, and they started doing the dance of rotating around each other for about 5 or 6 turns, and then they parted and they formed an equilateral triangle, and just as they did that, boom, all the fireworks went off. I kid you not. Scared the crap out of us. And once they settled into their position, they did not move. I watched them for an hour and they just sat there in the star field. and they actually move with the star field over that hour. So if you didn't see them moving beforehand, if you're just looking up in the stars, you wouldn't even know they were there because they blended into the star field. So I just thank goodness that there were 12 other people with me that witnessed it, because as usual, if you haven't got witnesses, it's only your word. So that was quite amazing. I guess they were there to watch our millennial celebrations and see how us angry monkeys on Earth celebrate the calendar clicking over. So it was that was amazing. Yes.
What did the people think or say?
Again, they were just like, yeah, we've ruled out everything it could be, so we don't know what it is. And people are hesitant to go that extra step and say, well, that's obviously advanced aircraft of some sort, and that falls into a UFO. Oh, I've got no problem saying that was a UFO, an unidentified flying object. And it was amazing because people soon move on if things don't fit into their normal logical world. So they soon move on or kind of place it in the back burner, in the basket in the corner, and move on. But years later, when I'd be talking with them, I would say, hey, you remember that night? And they go, yeah, instantly. They go, yeah, I remember that. So it wasn't like they were in denial or anything. It's just, I can't put it into column A, B, or C. So it's just one of those weird things.
So would you say, wait, 1 second, UFO doesn't equal OVNI, right?
Sorry?
What is OVNI?
Um,
That's not English. Aliens.
Aliens, yes, thank you. UFO is not equal aliens automatically, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've grown up with being a student of science. Right. So of course you have to work out biological science and reasoning what it could be. So that's the best researching for the paranormal and for anything else, is to apply the scientific laws of reasoning and logic when investigating. Then when you can't answer it in any of those fields and you've still got evidence, that's when it branches into a new field.
Which is aliens, is what you mean?
I think what Alex is asking is, we're seeing an unidentified object in the sky.
Yes.
That's not necessarily extraterrestrials from a different planet or a different dimension or something like that. That's what his question is. Am I right, Alex?
Yes.
Yes. And this is where my research comes into it. Given those encounters on their own, it would be in the I don't know basket because you need more information.
Yeah.
But based on the research of all the UFO encounters around the world, and especially the United States military, then it falls heavily into the alien advanced technology. So
probabilities, right?
Well, I would have to say for myself, 100% surety.
Yeah.
Based on the information today. If it was just for myself to research, then no, I've never seen alien wreckage. I've never seen alien bodies. I've never had the inside information from the Pentagon for myself. But based on other whistleblowers and other military people coming forward with their close encounters, then I would have to say there is enough information for me to make for myself 100% that it is advanced technology from a non-human intelligence. But I think that's like everyone has to do their own research. Just don't believe me or my opinion. Do your own research, look, examine the facts for yourself, see what you find for yourself. But for my research and my point of view, I've answered enough of my questions to be satisfied that it is non-human intelligence. Yeah.
So I want to share something before you tell us about sighting number 3, and I want to get your take on it.
Yeah.
Because this is very weird. Like you said something about how come it happened to you multiple times. So that brought up something for me. So, based on what you're describing now, like those two stars intertwining on New Year's Eve
Yeah.
2000, that kind of reminded me of something weird that I saw. And it was me and my sister and my stepmother
Yeah.
in Tel Aviv. I don't
Okay.
remember what year, but
Yes.
we were looking at the sky. We were on the balcony,
Yes.
and I saw I think it was a really close flashing white light.
Right.
And I was a boy. So I think between ages of 10 to 14, 15 tops. No,
Yeah.
probably less. No, I must have been around 10 because actually my they left Israel by the time I was 11. So yeah, I was between 8 to 11. The point is, I saw this light in the sky, and we had no idea. I chalked it down to a satellite. It was moving really fast, but little bright red dots were coming out of it.
Right.
And I didn't say, yeah, that's a UFO, that aliens. I had no idea. I was like, wow, that's really weird.
Mm.
But here's the funny thing. My stepmother was abducted. She has a story,
Yeah.
crazy one, that I one time sat down to listen to her. And I'm not gonna go over it fully because it's a bit fuzzy for me, the details. But she was abducted when, like the story goes, when she was around 16.
Yeah.
And she, I'm very logical, and I'm super skeptical about, even I didn't think that what I saw was necessarily a craft or aliens or anything. I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
And when she told me her story, she put out the name of a guy that came to talk to her after the incident. And then I went online and I verified. I just checked because I didn't believe her like off the bat. She gave a specific name, so I googled him, and the guy's like the number one Israeli UFO expert that somewhat works with the government or something like that. And he handed her a metal or something like that, told her residue, that it's a residue and that she should keep it with her. Weird
Okay.
stuff to me.
Yeah.
So just wanted to put that out there before you continue to
Yeah.
number
Yeah.
three and share with us,
Yeah.
if you have any insights.
Well, she's not the only one because halfway through my research, I have some Israeli friends that moved to Australia. And we were talking, as I like to do. I like to bring up the subject if we're just uh, exploring new subjects. And one of the girls, the sisters, one of the girls described that she was out in, uh, the countryside from the capital. Anyway, it was an area that they would go camping. But they had to watch it because they were dry creek beds. And if it rains, you get those flash floods and things like that. So they were out camping there and they saw a bright object in the sky, and they were a bit worried, and they called the camping trip short because of it. And that night when she was home, she remembers hopping up in the morning. She had a nosebleed, and she also could smell a bit of like sulfur in the room. And one of her pieces of jewelry was missing off her nightstand, sort of thing. And because she knew I did hypnosis and regression, she asked me if I could regress her and see if anything was there, if there was any missing time or missing memory. So I said, yeah, sure. And we did the regression, and she did recall that it was about 2 a.m. and there was a non-human entity in the room, large head, bald head, large eyes, small body, kind of like a bluey silver jumpsuit. And she...
Oh my God. That's
Yeah.
exactly what she told me, my stepmother. That
Really? Right. Yes. Yes.
like the silver jumpsuit.
Yes. Yes. That's the typical grey. Yes. And he did abduct her. He did take her onto the craft, and it's amazing their technology because they can pass through matter. They can go through a wall, through a window, anything like that. They have some sort of what we would call a tractor beam. It's some sort of light that is anti-gravity, and they just lift up into the craft from there. And after they've done their medical examination, they brought her back to the bedroom, placed her back in the bed, and apparently when the grey was turning, he saw the jewelry. You know those hologram images you can get on a medallion or something like that, and it's whatever photo you want in that bluey greeny hologram sort of thing that moves when you move it. She had the eye of Horus. So apparently it didn't like that. So he basically hit it with static electricity from his hand, which burnt it. And it flew off and it landed under the bed, which he only found a week later that it was burnt, and that was the kind of sulfur smell. So that kind of linked up with the regression we did of physical evidence matching her memory and her sister's remembering she had a nosebleed and the sulfur smell and that too. Turns out through other regressions, she's had other abductions through her life. So she would fall into the class of an abductee, that they follow her through her life and take regular abductions to do medical measurements and studies. Yeah. So yeah, your family member's not the only one in Israel. Yes.
Well, you succeeded in freaking me out for sure. And even the Eye of Horus, I mean, is your friend my stepmother? Like, she likes that kind of stuff. I think she even,
Right.
I think she has a tattoo of the Eye of Horus, my
Right.
stepmother.
Right.
I have a question.
This
Weird.
particular girl, she was a young girl, and I think she was when would that be? Kind of might have been mid-90s, or no, the early 90s, like 1990 this happened, I think.
So I have a question.
Yes.
Simon, you say it freaked you out.
Yeah.
Does that scare you?
Scare me? No, not scare, because look, from the story that I got from my stepmother, I didn't get an impression that they are bad or evil or want to harm. That was just the general feeling that I got. What freaked me out was that he didn't like the Eye of Horus. Like, what the hell does that mean? Because like the Eye of Horus, like so many meanings to that. So and like I was just waiting like for you to describe, because like I just remembered that, you know, she described I guess we're calling it a gray.
Yeah.
Very tall, lean, and she just distinctly described the silver like tracksuit. And then
Yeah.
you said it, and I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like that's weird.
Yeah, when I regressed my friend and she was on the ship being examined on a metal table, I asked her, was there a difference in the height of the aliens? What can you describe about their heights? And she said, well, there's a very tall one and two short ones. And afterwards, she said, you know, how did you know there was a height difference? And I said, well, based on all the other abductees too, they seemed like the tall ones are in charge and the smaller ones, the 3 foot to 4 foot ones, are kind of the soldiers, the workers. So they do have 2 types in the greys. Yeah. So if your auntie remembers a tall one, then that could have been one of the ones in charge. Yes.
That's not fair that the tall ones are in charge. They should be more woke.
I have two questions. Craig, the
Yes.
same question as you, as Simon. Does that scare you that they abduct people like this? And the second question, it doesn't make sense to me. If they have all the technologies they have, like you told me, they can pass through windows or doors or whatever.
Yes.
What do they need to study us? They probably know everything about us already. So why do they need to abduct us?
Okay. First thing is, I'm more fearful of humans than of aliens, because they put us back in the bed and they don't harm us. Okay, so relatively we come back in the same condition.
So you're not scared. That's what you're saying.
No,
Okay.
there seems to be some sort of higher law to say don't harm the specimens.
Okay.
Return them in the same condition you take them in. Same as when we tranquilize an animal in the wild and we put a tag on them and we take blood samples and tissue samples, and when the anesthetics wear off, they go, that was weird, and they run back to the herd or whatever they do, and we have our science then to study of that particular animal. There seems to be the Greys are very interested in our DNA, and they need as many DNA samples, and sometimes over the course of someone's life as well, they're interested in more DNA. It's a very in-depth, huge program that they're doing with the human race based on the amount of abductee stories around the world of people that have encountered this.
So you think they abduct us to take our DNA?
Yes.
Take a blood
take
sample.
biological
okay.
samples.
For what?
Yep.
Do you have a guess?
Yes, I do. Yes,
Okay.
I do. Okay. So again, based on the research, based on more whistleblowers in the United States military, and based on the abductees themselves, what the Greys have is advanced technology, hundreds of thousands of years more advanced than us. They have telepathy, so a lot of times they communicate, nearly all the time, they communicate just by looking at each other or looking at the human subject, and they get the thoughts in their mind without words. So they have telepathy. They're a more logical, practical, scientific race. Not a lot of emotion going on there at all. So they're very fascinated with our emotions.
Oh.
They want to study our emotions. It's something they don't have. And to a certain degree, through their science, they found emotion an obstacle. So through their own genetic manipulation, they kind of got rid of their emotions. So to a certain extent, they're more scientific and very logical, but they've lost their soul. They lost their heart and soul through that.
They can talk to me. I'll help them. I can do that.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
Yep. So
Alex is laughing because yeah.
Yeah,
You can
well,
tell.
apparently humans, us, we're the most emotional species out there in the galaxy. And that's why they're so fascinated with us. They've learnt that there is a thing called a soul inside the body. And they've learnt that the soul runs on emotions. So now they're going, uh-oh, we've kind of gone the wrong direction. They're following science down to perfection, but we've lost what our soul is here to do, and that is to grow and learn and evolve through emotions and experience. So they have to backtrack now, and that's why they're so interested in our DNA, to find out how to manipulate their DNA to have emotions.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the technology they had in the ancient Egypt to build the pyramids that we lost. And right now, with all our science, we are so advanced, but we still don't comprehend or understand how they did it properly.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah,
So it's like a very similar story, actually.
Yes, there is a lot of missing links in ancient technology as well. And all of the indigenous races around the world have some stories of the star people coming down and helping them with technology of agriculture, medicine, or astronomy. All the indigenous races have that those myths and those stories. So it seems it's not just the Greys. There seem to be different types of alien species out there, as described by abductees. But the majority seem to be the Greys, who are very interested. I would say it's their top priority, this program that they have working. And ever since Roswell 1947, the US government was then made aware of the Greys and their technology. And that's when some sort of unofficial contact was made. And per the whistleblowers, it's some sort of agreement was made that if they kept it quiet on both sides, the US government more or less would give permission for the Greys to abduct people as long as they return them. And in return, the US military, and I'm talking a very small black project area of the Pentagon that 95% don't know exists, the MJ-12, the program it's called. This is responsible for this agreement, and this is the area that houses the exchange of alien technology in exchange for not interrupting this mission that they have. And yeah, it's not nice that the rest of the human race has been cut out of this, or no other countries have been party to this agreement. And
I'm thinking like it's also ineffective. If they really want to study us, they could just tell us. Maybe people will volunteer, and it will be much faster. Yeah, me too.
Guys, come get me. As long as you bring me back, I'll help you.
I don't need to bring me back.
Yeah.
I don't mind to go with them on that planet.
Joking aside, but I'm serious. But
Yeah.
I've never heard this take of them not being emotional and have lost that through their evolution and pursuit of science and efficiency, I've never heard that take, and it's interesting because that puts us at the top of something.
Yes.
And that's an interesting take because, I think in a very similar way to you, Craig, but also in a different way, I study emotion. I study, our instincts, our evolution in regards to our emotions and instincts, and how to use them best and how helpful they are. And, all I do all day is think about feelings and emotions and process them and in different scenarios, and also trauma and pain. How does that affect what we do? And it's it's just an interesting take. Also, something is unclear to me because maybe I'm taking it for granted, because for me it's so easy to fully understand, like, the soul, if you want to call it that, and how everything relates to how we feel. But I guess what you're saying is they need some sort of matter, some sort of DNA programming, some sort of are they trying to ungenetically engineer themselves, or regenetically engineer themselves, or create like fellow Greys that are not tall, not short, but in the middle and have emotions,
It's a tough project for them because what they're doing is they're trying to make a hybrid program. Not exactly half human, half Grey, but they want to incorporate that human DNA so they can feel emotions and all the different colors of emotions. But they like who they are. They like to stay who they are with their intelligence and telepathy and their appearance. But it's a very difficult program to try and blend two different species and to try and get it right, because as we know with humans, we can't manage our emotions properly either. As you see, some people just are very difficult at managing their own emotions. So as a human, we're constantly working on how we behave. You know, are we behaving in a healthy psychological way? Are we in a destructive way? Are we aggressive? Are we too passive? Are we, you know, all the different balances we have of emotions. So you can imagine an alien species coming in and plugging into this and not knowing how to drive this car. So
We don't even know ourselves to drive it.
yes,
For most people.
yes. I mean, it could take a lifetime for us to learn how to drive our own emotions. And for an alien species to come along with no instinct and no practice in the matter, and to try and blend with that and not go crazy, not go too much, too fast, too soon, or so it's a generational program. They are tracking people through generations, and they do have certain people that they will come back and study, and unfortunately they do take fetuses from women and sperm from men and ova, and they are taking biological samples for their own hybrid systems. Some people that have been abducted, the women have been shown the miscarriages they've had that totally disappear. There's no evidence. When they've been on board the craft, they've seen their baby growing in the alien incubator, and then they'll be abducted a year later and they'll be shown the child of what the hybrid child is. And in the case of my friend who had that abduction in Israel, when she was abducted as a child, she was taken on board, and all she was asked to do was just to sit and play with these other children. Now, she noticed the other children looked different. Their skin was more grey, their hair was very straggly, and their eyes were bigger and darker. But she just thought they were different kids from a different part of the world. So as a small 6-year-old or so, she was just playing with the toys with them. And that's all they wanted her to do, interact as a normal human child and show them what playing was, or joy of toys. And that was the whole experience of that abduction. So they do have a program of trying to learn how to drive the human emotions. So it's a very important program for them, and it's a long-term program. And yes, you're right. They would have a lot more volunteers if it was known, but they'd have a whole lot more hostility too, because a lot of people would set fire to everything to say, oh, the aliens are coming and they're kidnapping us in our sleep, and, you know, get the missiles out, get the guns out, you know. So this is why they keep it quiet as well, because they don't want the public up in arms attacking them, which they've got no fear of with our technology, but they don't want us attacking the abductees either, because we would somehow punish them.
Right. I think I know why this is so hard for them to try to get to mix, you know, to get the emotion and instinct and things like this into them, because they are trying to bypass millions of years of evolution.
Yeah.
Like, how old are we? I don't even know, like 100 million years old? Human race, like, kind of, you know? So they're trying to bypass this, and this is so hard, like.
Yeah. I mean, we've, as a human, we have so much basic instinct programmed into us as well. So whether you call that positive or negative, it's something we've learned who we are and what we are, and we've learned what's good behavior and what's bad behavior by our standards of society.
And what is good for us and not good for us is not the same as for them. So this it's like an impossible problem to resolve.
Yes, and because they're so scientific, they think they can solve the Rubik's Cube if they put enough thought into it. And unfortunately, it's not about thought, it's about feeling.
Yes.
So they're trying to quantify the human emotion and control it. And that's why they're having so much difficulty, because in the end, all of us, we have to experience our feelings, experience our life, and grow from that and learn what works and learn what doesn't work.
And you
So-
know, we make the same mistake as human, like science. We try to
Yeah.
quantify everything with science, but
Yeah.
we don't include the emotions, the feelings, all this in science yet. Not
Yes.
It's just beginning, barely
Yes.
beginning, right? So we
Yeah.
are also doing the same mistake.
Yes, I mean, as souls, on the other angle of past life regressions, and this is why it's all the one picture, because as souls, we're learning what is a growth of the soul, what is beneficial and what isn't, and what's negative. And it takes lifetimes for us to learn this and to become a more rounded, caring, intelligent, emotional person that isn't a destructive, angry animal. So it takes lifetimes to learn how to drive the human body, how to learn to get along with other humans, and how to grow as a soul. So unfortunately, the only way the Greys are going to do that is if they do the same thing as what we're doing. They can't put it in a test tube and make it jump. They're going to have to walk the same walk we do. And
So
that's
they're
trial
also
and error.
stuck. They are
Yeah.
also at just a different level, but they're also stuck like we are.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we're evolving through our incarnations on Earth here and our past lives. We're evolving, or we're given the lessons to grow.
Right.
And from what I understand, the Greys can live to up to like 450 years. So their lifetime is quite a time. But because they're not learning emotionally, it's just existing. It's learning knowledge like a computer, but they're not growing as a soul. And to a certain extent, even if they reincarnate, they're going into the same pool again of logic and computer understanding. They're not growing as a soul. So once they realized there was a step,
After that, I have an interesting question. Yeah.
once they realized
Me too.
that we do have a soul, through science, they found the energy of the soul within the body, and then worked out, oh, okay, now this turns the whole universe on its head. And then they started working out what the soul is and what the purpose of the soul is. And then they have to now backtrack right to the beginning again. Before that, they thought they were the epoch, the pinnacle of intelligence. And they thought they were the best success of life in the universe because they didn't kill each other. They got along like a hive mentality with their telepathy. They have cured disease and hunger and everything. So everything was success and control. And then they found out there's a soul and you've got to grow these emotions, and that's the whole purpose of life. And then they're like, oh, back to the beginning. But
so that confirms that material doesn't bring happiness.
yes. Yes.
Thanks for proving it. Yeah.
My question was, if they don't have soul and they don't have emotions,
yeah,
if they need something from her, they could just wipe us out without feeling bad or anything. Like, okay, bye, we don't need you. Let's take something.
Yes.
But then I'm thinking, if they already have all their needs met, they don't have to do it as well.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be a short 5 minutes if they decide to take over the world.
Yeah.
And thank goodness there's some sort of laws and protocols out there for primitive races, which the human Earth is listed as a primitive race. And the more advanced races to treat us like the Amazon. You can look, but you can't live there. Leave it alone. Let it coexist in its own environment, but you can visit and take samples. But just don't mess up the ecosystem too much. And it seems like there's different species, but it seems because the Greys have this need, this extreme dire program they have to succeed at, that's why they're given permission to be the majority of UFO sightings and the majority of abductions. But there are other species out there that do visit and are fascinated with the human race too, but they have emotions, so they don't have to do what the Greys are doing.
Okay, where to start? So first, I just want to point out that Alex, to see you engaged like this, it's it's refreshing. But I'm guessing you resonate with the aliens who want to feel, and like, backstory is that, working with Alex, like a lot of people, due to trauma, he just shut down his emotions for years and years, as best as he could. Got his shit together, got good at business, and only then started to put attention into this and discovered, oh, I have so many emotions,
It's a
and
new
I
dimension. I
shut them
understood
down.
that
Yeah,
my logic, my instincts that I'm using very well, it's
Yeah.
not enough. If I can
Yeah.
add the third layer, a third dimension, emotion to it, and have all of them combined, I'll be not unstoppable. Anyone.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Because I have access to more data. I have access
Yes.
to, yeah, right? Okay.
Yes, we've got IQ, our intelligence quota, but we also have EQ, our emotional quota as well. And to a certain extent, through our history of mankind, the power that be is, the tougher and stronger you are, the more you succeed in life, whether fighting battles of the Roman Empire all the way to Wall Street now. But we've always valued love and harmony and human emotion. It's always been there too, whether art or poetry or everything. And we're this dual animal that you can't have one without the other. And to now that we're understanding that we're a spiritual being having a physical life, and that material isn't everything, we have to nurture the soul as well in its growth and evolution. So now we're freely expressing and researching this information and sharing it without persecution, because it wasn't that long ago they were burning people at the stake that had any of these out-of-body experiences or spiritual encounter that didn't fit in with the doctrine. So we've spent about 1,000 years in the dark, and now we're finally exploring this new reality that yes, we do have souls and we do reincarnate. There is a heaven dimension, and the whole thing is focused on love and emotions and how we express them, how we use them. And it's very difficult, even for humans. It's very difficult, this world. It's one of
I think we lost Craig.
okay, so we lost Craig for a moment, and that's okay, because I'm still on the Eye of Horus. Okay, I'm still there. Like, this is what I know. I'm not huge on the occult.
Yeah.
Okay, and I do research and learn about these things because I'm always looking for wisdom. I'm always looking for ways to grow myself and understand. And I see people who are, to be honest, very serious about things occult. Most of the time, disappointing to me. Disappointing, as in full of false beliefs and that's most of the time, until proven wrong.
Yeah.
And getting back to the Eye of Horus, I mean, there's so many stories about, I don't know, what's coming to mind.
Why don't you give a quick background, because I don't know about the Eye of Horus. Probably a lot of people don't know about it.
So the Eye of Horus is just an eye symbol. It's literally on the US dollar for some reason, on the pyramid, the all-seeing eye somehow. Right. It's somehow linked to the Freemasons, I guess, or the Illuminati, or I don't know, like a secret in your face, yet in your face, like weird facts like this.
Yeah.
And Horus is an Egyptian god.
Yeah.
And I think he's one of the good guys, maybe, or he's a protector. I don't exactly remember, but he's one of the more powerful, foundational, maybe even the equivalent of Zeus for the, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And
The Eye of Horus is supposed to be a protection emblem. And boats around the Mediterranean, they paint an eye on the front of their boat, and that's the Eye of Horus too. And it was one of the earlier things of protection you could use before, I guess, Christianity and the cross came along, or the Romans incorporated a lot of different areas that they dominated, and they did dominate in Egypt as well. So that incorporates into their gods system before Christianity came along. So it's an old emblem for protection, and that's mainly what it should be. You're right. Certain things like the Masons and some other cults have used it for other purposes, meaning higher knowledge, or secret society of knowledge, or something like that. So
what about We Are Watching You? No?
Yeah. Well, again, the Freemasons have a mixture of ancient Egyptian gods and certain rituals that they have as well as the Christianity, the banned or unorthodox verses and stories of the Bible. So I've looked at all religions. I've looked at all their history as a student of science to see what was there before I discovered for myself that the soul does exist, the soul does survive outside the body, and there is a system behind life of reincarnation, and that there is a higher supreme being to the whole system as well. Before that, I was an atheist. Before that, I was a laboratory technician, and if I couldn't measure it, if I couldn't see it, it didn't exist. So I kind of did a 360 when I found evidence of life after death and the soul surviving the body. My friend in Israel, she just liked the jewelry. She wasn't particularly after the Eye of Horus. She just liked it as a girl with jewelry. She told me that the grey didn't like it because it moved with the hologram film. It looked like it was observing him, and he thought it was some sort of observing device, like I guess what we would think a camera lens turning and looking.
Like so it didn't want to leave evidence.
Yes, it didn't want to have any evidence that it was there. So that's why it disabled it. So
he's not that smart.
They're very clever in how they can disable security systems and CCTV devices, and they totally control electronics. The 2004 Tic Tac encounter with the US Navy with the FA-18s that were pursuing that Tic Tac, when they tried to intercept it, it took off like in 2 seconds. It was over the horizon. And when the air traffic control radioed them and said, "You're not going to believe this, it's 60 miles away in 2 seconds. And it's also at your rendezvous point." Now, the rendezvous point was only what the pilots knew on how to rendezvous before they land with the aircraft carrier. So somehow it read their computers on board in an instant, and it knew all the information of the F-18 navigation system, and it knew where that rendezvous point was. And it was like, well, you chase me, and I'm sitting over here where you should be in 5 minutes' time. So that's the amount of advanced technology they have. I mean, you could only imagine if we went back 200 years and Europeans were only just discovering electricity, and what we know about science, we could totally mess with them and control them. So that's the sort of advantage you have with this super technology. So yeah, there's nothing hidden. And to a certain extent, our technology has been gifted here and there to advance our science, because from what I understand, the ET, they'd like to hurry up the whole process. And by hurrying up means if they leak technology to us, it makes it easier for them to access our records and access our science and everything like that. Just think of the internet now.
It's like we are building an online encyclopedia for them.
Yes. And by the Roswell technology of 1947 being captured and back engineered and then released into the business centers of the world to make the silicon chip, and now we're a computer age. Now we're putting all of our humankind knowledge on the system, which they can easily access. So we've just helped them know everything about us.
But the emotion we can't yet.
Yes.
Maybe that's the next level, you know, to put our soul and our emotion into informatic.
Well, it's the thing.
Into a computer. Yeah.
The soul is still a unique thing by itself that can't be replicated by some sort of quantum computer. No, we're quite unique that way. And I guess one day we will advance in technology to the point where we can detect this sort of energy as we're making new advances in science every day. We, like the Greys, one day will have actual scientific evidence that, yes, here's this energy within a body, and when a person dies, that energy's gone. Or like
wow, I'm thinking like, you know, stuck emotion muscles, you know, and
right.
we can identify where it is and know which with trauma it's linked, you know.
Yes.
And easily, you know, like
yeah, absolutely. When people are abducted and they're on that table, they're scanned by these different energy beams of color. And they say on the screens they can see all the different energies and electrical systems and everything in the body. So I'm sure one day we'll have like an MRI scan, we'll have a complete scan of all the different energies and parts of the body that are working and aren't working. Yeah.
I don't like that because I'll be out of a job.
It's like with AI now, what's happening?
Yeah, like now I resonate with the people who are afraid to lose their job to AI.
When we get to this point, nobody will work anymore. We have very peaceful world and get our needs met without working. Anyway, Simon, you had a lot of questions linked to the Eyes of Horus.
Well, I mean, he did answer that the alien thought it was a camera or it was following it. I get that. I just think it's a mind-blowing coincidence that my stepmother has out of anything she is kind of like a spiritual person, and she has that tattoo. It's just a bit weird. Of the Eye of Horus. The Eye of Horus tattoo. Yeah.
Oh, wait, maybe everyone that is got adopted have some a token or something about the Eye of Horus. Maybe that's
maybe
that's how they target us. So maybe we should get one as well.
From a past life perspective, when regressing people, we all have fondness for certain parts of the world and certain past lives. And a few people that have lived in Egypt still have a fondness for it. So in this life, when they do see Egyptian items like that, it's passionate for them. You know, they go, oh, I like that. And so to me, I don't see any problem with it because a lot of people have an affinity for things of a past life that they thought was important or that they enjoyed. So it certainly explains why people decorate their homes in certain styles or have jewelry and things that are a different culture. So, and people that do get abducted seem to be more spiritual. It seems to open up their energy a bit more too. And when people become spiritual, they don't like Orthodox religion more. They like to, have all different
explore.
Types. Have all different.
You're opening up a new thing now, and it's just because that's another thing I resonate with. Because from I'm really weird. We live in Vietnam, right?
Right. Yeah.
I've lived in Thailand for about 11 years, and my dream, for whatever reason, since age 7, was to live in Japan. And even as a young boy, it's not cool to eat with chopsticks and
Yeah.
eat Asian, but like I used to do that. Like we didn't have it wasn't big, you know. When I was growing up in the 90s, it was in Israel there wasn't a lot of Asian culture at all, or restaurants, or you know, it wasn't as open to that. It's multicultural, but that's only grown. Like sushi and Japanese food has become popular way later, like maybe in the 2000s or but for some reason I would take skewers and use them as chopsticks, like so that took me to, like, you know, I'm open if you want to, I don't know, life digress me on a, you know, on the right now on camera, I'll do it. Like maybe I was a samurai or someone.
We've all had past lives in all different sorts of countries for different sorts of lessons. And we all like a certain culture in the next life. We like to remember that subconsciously. So given a choice of all different cultures, and you just go, yeah, I like that one. That's why, because you've lived there before and it's familiar.
So for me, I didn't know anything about the Asian culture, but at 18, I decided to go to Thailand for 3 months, and I felt so good. I never left Asia.
Yeah,
same thing. So good. Like it's like I feel like I'm home. This is where I'm supposed to be. This is like the best of. I get the best of myself here. Nowhere else in the world.
Yes, and Asia's more open to the idea of reincarnation, and especially India, especially Buddhism and Hinduism, and through the University of Virginia, Dr. Tucker, he studied children under the age of about 8 in Asia that could remember their past lives. Children can remember it when they're very young, and the memory seems to fade after about
I saw that.
I saw that. Yes, and in Asia they accept it very readily, but in the West we don't. We just write it off as imagination, you know, kids and their imagination, because we're Christian based mainly. And but no, in Asia they accept past lives, reincarnation, and very open to it. Yes, but yes, we'll all find something familiar around the world. If you've lived in that area, you have that affinity for it. Yeah.
So I have a healing based question that's a bit deeper.
That's all right.
Than most people will probably understand.
Yes.
Because I also treat people with unconscious techniques, hypnosis, and a past life regression. This is an assumption on my part because it's not something I have any experience with. Is it similar to something like timeline therapy? Is it exactly the same, just with a different name? Could you shed some light on that?
Yes, it's very similar. You see, there's a book, Many Lives, Many Masters, by Dr. Brian Weiss, professor of psychiatry, and he was working with psychotherapy on people and using hypnosis to go back to even to the age of 2 if they had a traumatic experience that was still giving them fears or phobias in this life. So he was using that to access whatever amnesia was hiding, a traumatic episode in their life, giving them fears and phobias in this life to unlock. And with this particular patient, Catherine, he couldn't find her fear of water, and he'd been back to that age, even back to to birth almost, you know. And in the end, he said, I want you to go back to where that fear of water started. So she paused for about 10 seconds, and then he said, where are you now? And she said, I'm walking along the beach on the Mediterranean Ocean here. And he said, all right. He said, and she said, yes, I've got my 5-year-old son with me. And he was perplexed because she didn't have a son in her present life. And so he just thought, all right, as a scientist, I'm just going to roll with it and see, is this schizophrenia? Is this a delusion? What's going on? So he just let it play. And he said, what's happening? And she said, all the water's rushing out to the ocean, and all the shells and everything are exposed, and we're picking up shells. And then she says, oh no, oh no. And she could hear and see the roar of the ocean coming back in as a tidal wave. And they tried to run, but of course, the tidal wave was too large, and they both drowned. And he said, when did this happen? And she said, oh, around, my guess is, like 500 BC. I'm around one of the islands of Greece, and I was in a toga, and we were going to visit the temple, and things like this. And that was the wow moment for him, because once she woke up from that regression, she said she no longer had the fear of drowning anymore. She had placed that fear with the memory. And once she knew where it started and knew what it was, that's half the healing, of knowing why you feel that way. And then she could process it. As we do all the things in our life, we process it, good, bad, whatever. So when he saw that she could get over her fear of water just through one session like that, where normally it take him a year of psychotherapy to help her with that, he was like, wow, I've got to explore this more. So he had the courage to step through that door into the unknown and explore it more. And in the end, he wrote the book on past life therapies and how beneficial they are to people. And he thought, well, this is the end of my career. That's it. Once I publish this book, no more professor, no more doctor, no more nothing. Not only did he keep his job, but he had more professional people writing to him saying, I've had this and I've had things similar, or an out-of-body experience, and I've been afraid to talk about it too because of the modern academia would frown upon it. But they said, thank you for writing the book. Now I know I'm not going crazy, and now I can actually tell my story. And it became a #1 bestseller. So that's the book that started me into the whole journey as well. And yeah, wonderful man, Dr. Brian Weiss. He's written several books on it. But yes, the timeline therapy, why should it stop it just in this life? And I've regressed plenty of people that have gone back in time to find the source of their fear or phobia. And it could be back, 3,000 years back to Egypt when they had a traumatic episode. So time is irrelevant. It's whatever triggers it in this life that triggers that fear or phobia. And then through that, we can go back and find the source of the information. Once they can find the source, that's an abreaction that occurs, that they can make logical sense of it, and then they can start the healing process. Yeah.
So Craig, just to confirm what you said about the Egypt, it's exactly what happened to me.
Right.
Because I have Jewish roots, and the Jews were enslaved, right? And
Yeah.
I used to have a lot of tension in my shoulder and pain. And during one of the hypnotherapy session, I understood that I'm carrying the weights, when you need to carry stuff on your back all day when you're a slave.
Yes.
And I'm carrying this trauma from 3,000 years ago, from the Egyptian time, on my shoulder. And when I let go of it, I like all the weight out of it. Like now I'm so relaxed in my shoulder.
It can, and again, time has no bearing on it, because something in this life might have triggered that same situation of feeling like you were that slave under that amount of heavy pressure. And
that's exactly it.
Yeah. Your subconscious makes the connection. Your subconscious connects with those memories, but it can't tell your conscious mind the actual memory, the actual information, but it connects with the feeling.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunately, the frustration we have, that we're feeling the fear or we're feeling the emotions of that life back then, but our logical mind can't access it. And we don't know why we feel that way until you can do hypnosis, regression, or some sort of healing, that you can get in touch with that information, and your subconscious mind can then go, see, that's what I was telling you about. Yeah.
Simon and we understand this subject very well, because we literally have been through this so many times. I think most people won't understand it, not because they're stupid, but because this is an experience
Lack of experience.
Lack of experience. So if someone wants to experience this, there is work to do subconsciously, right? And at some point they might get it, but it's not something you get instantly.
No, I mean, look, my earlier self, before I proved this was real to myself, I would be laughing at this subject.
Yes.
Because I didn't do the research. I didn't find out this is actually real and this can actually help people. And I get a lot of people that come to me and say, oh, we've been through the medical world. It didn't help. I've still got this problem. You're the last person I'm come to see. And I go, that's good. I want you to explore all the medical diagnosis and investigation first, and then come and see me, because I want to make sure it's not a real physical problem, whatever they have. And then we can work on, is it a past life memory that's interfering with the quality of their life? So, yeah.
What I understood is that from my own experience and my own injuries is that any physical problems that I have, of course, it's physical, like I hurt myself, like I damage a muscle or something, but it's also linked with an emotional trauma. It's always both, Yeah. It's not only one thing. So
that's
to
right.
heal fully, we have to do the work both physically and innerly.
Yes, we're a physical, emotional being. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I never believed this day would come, but officially, Alex, you are more of a hippie than I am. So congratulations. Because, you know, I do the timeline therapy and the hypnosis, and I know what I know. And what I tell the people that I work with is, look, you might experience something that may be weird as hell. Maybe it might be outside of the realm of what you are used to understanding and experience, and it might just feel very off, and we just roll with it anyway, because it's either real or it's not real. It's either something that happened to you in a past life, or it's something that your mind believes that happened to you in a past
even
life.
if it's not real.
Either way, right? So I don't claim to know anything. I claim to experience many things, interesting experiences. And I've experienced myself in healing sessions, regressing into unexplained scenarios and scenes, and living them and feeling the emotions that were felt during those and letting them go. And I do have my personal beliefs, but I don't think that matters. I think even if I said, I believe in this or that, who cares?
Yes.
Who am I? People are only going to believe things that they have experienced and know for a fact, and that's it. So
pushing your belief on people is completely useless.
I mean, I have fully validated. Can you see that?
Yes.
This book, Michael Newton, Destiny of Souls. I fully validated this book 100% with my own research through hundreds of clients that I've had in Australia that have never read the book. It's the one book I recommend to people if they want to know more about souls, heaven, our past lives, healing, how it all connects. When I first read that book, I was like, wow, this is like so much more information and so much more in depth about past lives and everything. But as a scientist, I was like, well, that could be just his opinion. I don't know where he's getting this information from. I have to try and validate that. So luckily, being a past life therapist, I was like, okay, I'll start investigating this with my clients and seeing if these areas that he's describing, or these colors or dimensions and everything, exist without leading my clients. And that's the important thing about a good hypnotherapist. You don't lead the client. You let them explore, but you know the map, and you just let them explore that map without leading them, because you don't want to put false information into their belief system. You want them to describe what they're seeing, hearing, and feeling as authentic memory. So yeah, that's very important. And yeah, I did validate those areas. In knowing all this, do I run out and try and change people's religions? No. If they are happy and it's meeting everything that they want, that's great, because that might be their only lifeboat that's keeping them afloat in this crazy world. And I don't want to go yanking that out from under them. So I'm only like, if people want to know more, I'm here to answer any questions that I've found through my own research and that I can talk from my experience. If people don't want to know more, they're happy where they are, or if they're happy just not believing anything, that's fine. That's absolutely fine, because they're still educating their soul, living life and making decisions every day and experiencing every day.
That's so true.
Yeah.
I was not aware that when we talked first time before this podcast, that you were an hypnotherapist and you had all this knowledge. I don't remember we spoke about this. And you spoke to me and you explained me that you were doing research in a lab, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
And you were swearing by science. Already there, I thought, oh, that's very interesting. Gonna be a different point of view on the alien and UFO from a science perspective. I already like that. But now that you tell me that you also work in the inner world and emotion and all this, it's even more refreshing. Like you are very knowledgeable. It's very interesting, and yeah, I really enjoyed this time with you.
That's great. That's great, because we all learn by sharing.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
So I think what Alex is saying is that probably we should wrap things up. It was really interesting, and probably I'd love to do another one in the future, another podcast where we can talk about maybe ghosts this time, because that we didn't even cover that. And yeah, one joke that I like to make is that everyone in Thailand has seen a ghost. Everyone in all Filipinos have seen a ghost, right? I've never seen a ghost. Why? So maybe that will be our next topic. And yeah, it was so interesting, Craig. Thank you. Fascinating, really.
Thank you for having me on.
Thank you, Greg.